Chapter 2. The train had stopped in a small village outside New York City, and the conductor himself went around making an announcement that everyone was ordered to stay aboard and in their places for the time being. This led to some grumbling by the passengers. Ginny had gone and obtained a member of the train crew after discovering the body. Then she had been asked by the crewman to wait for the lawmen outside the cabin, since she was now a witness. The man looked surprised that she seemed unfazed, but inside she was nervous, and she had to sit down for a few moments in an empty cabin to gather herself after making the grisly discovery.
"Dare I say how inconvenient this is?"
A gentleman in a tan suit spoke to his brunette acquaintance as they passed by Ginny on their way to their cabin.
"Apparently someone has died, Thomas. What did you expect?"
The woman replied. A detective and his team were arriving to investigate, the conductor had assured everyone. Some of the crew had covered the deceased with a tablecloth in the name of decency, and they stood guard in front of the door so that no one could enter. Still in her evening clothes, Ginny leaned against the wall, clutching her purse, and waited for the lawmen. A small, older man in a suit with a scowling expression approached her, trailed by 2 policemen in uniforms. He stopped by Ginny, peeking into the cabin with the covered body, and introduced himself as
Detective Keating,
without bothering to introduce her to the 2 policemen at his side. He dismissed the crewman and spoke with Ginny while the 2 policemen went inside the room and uncovered the body. While many would have turned away from the sight of the body, Ginny had looked closely at the man before the crew draped him and noticed that he appeared to have been stabbed. She'd had an interest in detective work ever since she was a girl, an interest which had amused her parents, but bothered others, she told, who thought the idea of a woman being interested in law work was uncouth. The interest intensified once she'd started writing. Many of her westerns had a mystery aspect to them. The Warwicks had gone into their room and shut the door by the time Ginny came across the man. Ginny told the detectives about the young woman she'd seen fleeing the area where the body was found.
Yes,
he said, writing down the description Ginny gave of the woman.
"Do you know this woman, or perhaps you recognize her from around the train?"
he asked. No, but we only boarded this morning.
"And your full name is?"
She gave it to him.
"Your father is Joseph Weltermint, the theater actor, isn't he?"
Detective Keating asked. Ginny nodded, but the detective continued.
"I never cared for the arts myself. My father was a coal miner back in Pennsylvania, where I plan to return to someday."
She imagined the detective was approaching the age for retirement. "Oh, I see," Ginny said quietly. "I've always had an interest in detective work. As a girl, I wanted to be a detective." She thought her words would have amused the detective, but he grimaced at her as though tasting something disagreeable.
"You? A lady?"
He chuckled at her assertion. She considered replying, "Why not?" or "How hard could it be?" with a bit of cheek, but she wanted him to tolerate her so that she could hover in the background and participate in the goings-on. "Perhaps," she said coyly instead.
"I am very experienced, miss. In fact, I am nearing retirement, and I can assure you that a woman won't ever make a good detective. There are reasons we have certain rules in place. She might make a policewoman, but being a detective takes a certain composure that women lack."
"Thank you for your insight," she replied with a tolerant smile.
"And where is your room, Miss Weltermint?"
Detective Keating asked, with an eyebrow raised, as though she might have been visiting a gentleman friend in the vicinity last night when she came across the body. "I was on my way to dinner. Alone," Ginny said firmly, not enjoying him making an implication about the type of woman she might be. "My room is over there." She gestured to her cabin door. Then she thought of something. Scarlet. Ginny had been waiting for hours, which had been a bore but was getting more exciting now, and she hadn't fed Scarlet her evening meal. "My cat," she said. Detective Keating raised his eyebrow again. "She's with me on board the train. I need to feed her."
"Very well. When we're all finished here, then you can feed your cat."
From his tone, he didn't seem to sense her need. She hesitated, and he said,
"Surely that can wait a little longer. A man has died. This is of utmost importance."
Yes, of course." He was right, of course, and Scarlet had already waited so long that a few more moments wouldn't matter. Ginny knew that if she wanted to be part of the excitement of the investigation, at least from the outside, she would have to fully immerse herself.